I'd like to thank all of you for coming on board today for the second of our series of webinars that we're rolling out over the following weeks. For all of you to stay in contact with us and primarily to address the needs you have during this time. So if you have any topics that you would like us to cover, please do get in touch and let us know, and we'd be delighted to do that. We've developed a frequently asked questions section on our website, which we're updating with government supports on a regular basis. So please also keep an eye on that. And our Chief Executive, Rosemary Steen, is very keen that you stay in touch with us. Just let us know what you need. And you all have both our email and our mobile numbers. So with that, it's probably best at this time that we concentrate in the digital space. And kicking that off for us today, we have Aidan Geraghty. Thank you, Aidan.
Thank you very much. So thanks to the Craft Council for all of you for inviting me on. Great to be presenting in this space because I have a lot of experience with, I'd say a lot of you members actually might be familiar with me. I've done a lot of work in this area with a lot of members over the years. I've started my business back in 2014 when nobody was doing video, really. There was a lot of companies that were, running with photos, but now, and video back then was really expensive to actually shoot and was not viable for, particularly an industry like yourselves, where you're designers and you're looking to enter the market and, you're small businesses. With times that have changed, with trends that have changed, video has become something that you can now do yourself within your own business, in your own time. How you do it better is really what I'm here to guide you on. There's a lot of videos being put out at the moment that to me are not representative of the quality of your work. So it's really important that I think that these tips that I'm going to put out today will really help to, soup up your production itself. And I think there's no better time to upskill than the time we have now, which is a challenging time. But we're here to try and move forward and to add some value to all of the members. So with that, I'm going to kick off. And just one thing actually to say is that if we do have any questions coming in, I'll do my best to address them in the chat that comes up. If there's any that I miss, we'll try to get some time at the end and address them there. And we'll bring in the Craft Council, Mary, I suppose, and Emer and Brian at the end if you'd like to contribute. But we'll see how that works. So good stuff. I will kick off now. What we're going to focus on here is 5 great tips for shooting with your smartphone. So we're going to stick to your smartphone, how you can use it better. Here are the 5 big tips. By the way, I run workshops on the ground across the country, and these 5 tips are drawn out of really the biggest questions and the biggest queries that come up. And I believe that these are the key 5 tips that are really going to help you. So with that, I'm going to move on. And the 5 tips that we're going to touch on: how to shoot with natural light and making the most of natural light without having to buy expensive lighting. It's about how to get into the right position in your studio or in your home so that you can take advantage of light and that it's not your enemy and that you're not, that you're using it for your own advantage. So stabilizing your phone. One of the obvious things that I think that we should do when we're shooting is to make sure our phone is in the correct position. You'd be very surprised with how many businesses don't put that as priority. Framing your shots, shooting in landscape mode, and recording with good sound. So we will kick off now. And just a quick poll, if we can run it, I guess, is: have you shot with your smartphone before? I think that's something now. I don't know if we have an actual poll ran, but I'd like to get some answers with the chat. I'm seeing a lot of yeses coming in, some no's, and yeah, there's a lot of, we're looking at about, from what I see coming in, we're looking at about 70% or 60% have tried. Others have not. Now, there's a big difference between shooting and publishing. So it's about, publishing is overcoming the fear of what you've shot. And that's key, really. Many of you might have experimented, and I see a lot here coming in. One of them is, yes, first time last week. And that's what we like to hear. Nothing fancy, and very short and simple, which is a key thing for us really these days. So I'll show you a video here, which was shot on my smartphone and edited, just to show you the power of how video can be great on your smartphone. I'll play this for you. If it plays. This isn't the video. It actually does move. It's not an image. Surprise, believe it or not. That's a first. Always something goes wrong. Okay. We might move onwards. Let's see if that works. We might come back to that later. We want to get the most out of time, so we'll keep moving. Okay, we'll keep moving on. Okay, shooting with natural light. You might see some videos that are shot with their faces away from the light. That's a big no-no. Passive light is what you should take advantage of. And that, so passive light is where you or your products are facing towards the light, or to the half light at least, and always avoid the shadows in your face. When you're shooting with your mobile, what's very common, particularly if you're shooting, you know, in a selfie mode, or if someone's shooting you, always be aware of the little shadows passing by your face as well. And with the passive light, what I mean by passive light is not the glaring sun that's coming in, but have a curtain up, some sort of a white curtain. You need to get a bed sheet, put it up in your studio. Something that blocks out that sharp sunlight that's coming in. And that then eliminates, so it eliminates direct sunlight. And it also does so much for your product. So if you're putting a video out and you're describing your product, and I do a lot of videos like that for clients, if your product looks bad and it's in bad lighting, that is not doing justice for your product. You know, you're selling a beautiful product. Make the most of the light so that your product looks the best. Before you start filming, really important thing is don't film until you've walked around the room and you've found that really nice light. Everybody has it. If you have a window, you have natural light. And with a natural light, if it's yourself on video, then get yourself nicely shone up on your face, not overexposed, not underexposed. Once you sort yourself, look at your product and see if your product looks good. And in that instance, when you have that position, don't move around the room from your fixed position unless you've got somebody controlling the light as you move around. So understand that when you find good lighting, use it and don't shift around the room, because in a video as well, if you shift around and the light looks bad here and it looks good over there, you're running around in and out of light and it looks really bad. Shooting with natural light up against the windows, what we did for our workshop recently, and I put myself in there as an example. If you look at how I was shot on the inside out towards the window, and one side of my face was absolutely dark, which in fact in that instance it was a nice silhouette effect. But I want to show you if your face is not towards the light, and then look at the other one that was right beside me. That was me in a similar position, but shot from the other direction. So this shows you an example of where you should situate your camera, where you should stand, and where it gets the best shot. And those people behind me with the smiley faces, I had to make sure they were smiling, so that's why I put those animated faces up. No, I didn't want to show who it was. So just be very mindful that light is to your advantage and not to your disadvantage. I think a lot of you will identify with this, where you see videos that are put up and somebody is sitting. I saw something lately actually, and she was sitting on her couch and they had this glaring sunshine coming over her head. Now it wasn't a halo, maybe that was the intention, but her face was so dark, and as she moved, the sunlight was just jumping in and out, and it was a really poor way to broadcast yourself. Hope everyone's clear on that, and we'll move on to the next part. Stabilizing your phone. Again, not rocket science, but stabilizing your phone is so important so that you're in control of your phone and that your phone is not in control of you. Because if you think about how lots of videos are put out, and let me grab my phone here somewhere. Oh, I don't have my phone. Maybe I was just conscious to put it on silent, and so I threw it away. If you've got your phone up and you're trying to hold on to it with one hand, your hand's shaking, and if you have it held up, it's shaking and it's kind of rattling around, and at the same time you're moving. Now when people look at that video, they're looking at you with a shaky atmosphere, I suppose, and nobody is focusing on what you're saying. That actually, I just found the phone in my back pocket because I got a message. When the phone is like this, there's another thing as well. Stabilizing your phone not only makes your video shot look better, but it also allows you to use this arm to your advantage, because hand signals, I don't do enough of them myself, but hand signals are really important when you're shooting. If it's a product that you're shooting, and I see some videos that somebody is showing their product and they're trying to point it down to the product, or they're trying to hold the phone like this and it's shaking and their product is in front of them, either in their other hand or on a table, it's not good. You know, it's not good. Use a tripod. It'll be so much better and you'll see the results. Now this girl is just in a consistent position. She's able to sit down, and if, let's just say if you're designers and you're trying to put out maybe a video blog and you're showing your product every week, get your tripod. A mini tripod is enough. Put it in a stable position on your table, if it's your studio table. Put it in a similar position, mark it on a sticker, and come back the next day and you've got the tripod in the same position and you're in the same position, and there's that consistent look about your videos, and it looks so much professional, so much more professional. So I can't reiterate the advantages of a €10 tripod, which you could get on Amazon now, even though we're all closed up. So we're going to ignore her. Tripods, you know, you can go shopping yourself on these, but you've got different types. You've got the mini tripod and you've got the large one. And I want to say as well that with the mini tripod, you can use that as a stabilizer if you're holding it. If you want to hold it, and if you want to move around the room, and you've got this on a gimbal, on a tripod, you don't need a gimbal, which is another machine, and it's 150 for a Osmo mobile gimbal. You want to write that down? Osmo mobile gimbal. You don't need it. You can have a tripod. You've got the legs of it. Hold the legs and move around the room, and it steadies your camera, and you can get beautiful videos walking around your studio. Use the tripod. Get the tripod. Find out the advantages, and I'm telling you, you'll really, really benefit. Frame your shots, really important. Now, framing your shots means taking the opportunity to use what's right here in your screen. It's an opportunity. Don't always stand in the middle of the shot. Stand in the tree. So you've got 3x3 grid lines. Now, some of you will have this in your mobile camera, or the professional cameras have it as well. You've got the grid lines. Identify where that 1/3 section is. And they're called the 3x3 rule. If you stand and identify that part of the shot, you then have an opportunity to have your branding over here where that says opportunity. You have an opportunity to have, maybe if you're in an atmospheric place where you've got your studio in the background, that's a really big selling point, showing people that you're a designer, that you're working hard, that this is where all the magic happens. And having this space to use for that is an absolutely beneficial thing to do. It's really important. So make the most of your frame, and then leave space for either a pull-up banner, your studio, your logo on a wall, or graphics if you feel that you want to do some editing on your video. But if you stand in the middle, you stand up close, you're limited, and why not make the most of your shot? Okay. Now, this is an example of a guy. I'm very careful to use examples. I have to use this guy because he's in America, and I hope you don't know him. But have a look. First of all, it's shaking.
Can't do multiple takes of this, but interesting times.
But I want to show you how he's not taking advantage of the frame. He's shooting in this mode. He doesn't have any opportunity to add anything into the sides. You don't get context of where he's sitting. He's obviously in a photographic studio, but he's not really selling that point. I mean, he could be in a school community hall because of the big grey wall at the back. It just doesn't sell himself and his business. Because on video, you're selling more than you. You're selling your business. So your video should have two things. It should have you as the person of the business, and it should have your business if possible. And don't shoot, and this is one thing some people are conscious of. You hold the phone up high, just like this, because they're trying to hide the double chin. I get it. I know what it's like. People are not, you'd be surprised that people really don't care about you that much. So don't be too conscious of yourself. People don't really care about that much. If you hold it high, you hold it wrong, you don't get a good frame, you're doing damage to your business, and you're not selling it the way you should. Forget about yourself, think about your business. An example of putting in a graphic beside you. On the before section, we took a screenshot of a video of this guy that was publishing it. And he was a professional, he had a nice background, but if you look, he was getting lost in it. He wasn't really, I suppose the word might be, powerful in the background. Whereas on the left, what we did was we pulled him up closer and we had a graphic. And let's just say that's the branding on his wall. And I think that's a really good opportunity. And if you look behind me, we've got the branding of the Craft Council, and I think that's very, very good compared to maybe a blank wall. And it imprints that mind into the person that's looking at your video. Because remember, many people are not looking at your video with the sound on. 88% of people are looking at video with the sound off. So you need people to look and see who this is talking if they don't listen. Shooting in landscape mode, absolutely important, really important. Now, what I mean by that is you will see some videos online of people showing their products or themselves, and they have it shot like this. And then they want to post it on LinkedIn. Doesn't look good. The black borders, do you recognize the black borders? It's a waste of space, but it's also not professional. And we're looking here, my whole point is to show you how you can get something a lot more professional looking by just turning the phone like this. That's all you have to do. We have an instinct that we shoot like this. Turn it this way, and you'll get so much more professional looking feel, but you'll also get more in the frame. And that's something we spoke about a few minutes ago. The frame, the background. Sorry, I'm just looking at a question come in. We'll just get back to that in a few minutes. So shooting in landscape mode again, why 16:9? Now, just to let you know what 16:9 is, it's an aspect ratio. This is a 16:9 shoot. This will give you the 16:9 shoot ratio, we call it. It's landscape mode, so it's more suitable for many of the platforms that are out there, the social media platforms. When you open up your camera on your phone, look at the settings and you'll see that it has 16:9 or it has 1:1, which is the square shooting, which is suitable if it's only Instagram you're posting on. But if you want to shoot and just be, you might say, well, look, I'm not sure about Instagram. I might post it somewhere else. If that's the case, make sure you shoot in 16:9. To me, it's a much safer option. So look at the settings on your phone. Don't ignore the potential your camera has on your phone. Now, what I mean by what's acceptable or used on the different platforms, on the left, you'll see the portrait mode. The portrait mode is perfect for shooting like this if it's only for Instagram stories. Instagram is one of your biggest platforms, your B2C. I think Instagram is the biggest, if not the second biggest. I think it's equal with Facebook. Instagram is huge. So you want to get the right visuals in your stories. Shooting in that way with your stories, yes, it's very good. If it's only for your stories. Landscape mode, again, if you're not sure where you're going to post this video and you want it and you want to harvest in all of these pieces of content, shoot like this and you can publish it on LinkedIn, your YouTube, Facebook, and you can also publish that to Instagram if it's on 16:9. Now, don't get confused with Instagram feed and Instagram stories. The Instagram story on your left is what goes up live and it's up for 24 hours. And I think you know about that one. The Instagram feed is those beautiful pictures you get for your gallery. Now, you'll see portrait or landscape mode or just square. So record with good sound, really important. If you're going to record with really good sound. You want to avoid, I understand you want to avoid having a microphone. I understand that. But with sound, it's so important that you don't shoot in the wrong place. That you have maybe like an empty room where it's like tiles, where you have an open window. It's funny, I just saw a video where we had like a person talking and a car alarm in the background. Now, we're not saying he robbed a car and it's not a reflection on him, but it's the noise in the background really doesn't do it justice, And now what you can do in that scenario is you can check the video before you post it. There's no excuse. If you do it wrong or if the sound is in the background, reshoot the video. Chances are it's going to be much easier when you reshoot it. Open windows, watch out for it. Switching off the machines, maybe if you have your studio and you have some things cranking on in the background, make sure that you're not, you don't have the machines on and that you're not interrupted. Good sound locations are where you've got textile elements and maybe a carpeted floor. So something that has different acoustics, maybe because it's, you know, a filled room and it's just got more, like with the carpet, it's always much better. And you know that maybe in the kitchen in your house, if you were to shout out, the sound in your kitchen is much different than the sound in your bedroom. Now, I understand that if somebody asked a question there about how would you eliminate sound or noise in the outdoors if you're outside. To be honest, you have to get out of where it's windy. And if you can't get out of that space, then you need to find a shelter. You really do. Don't record sound if you're out along the coast, if you can't. Now, even in the scenario where you're on the coast and you have a problem, but you really want to shoot, then you have to get a microphone with the, you know, the little bun thing on top of the cover on it. That's a sound wind prevention. So if you're recording out in the outdoors, yes, you do need to get a microphone if it's really windy, or find a bit of shelter. And that might just involve turning it around. Well-sealed windows and usually a prepared studio. Now, when I say a prepared studio, all I'm talking about here is, and I mean, by the way, I don't mean your studio where maybe you're designing products. I'm talking here about identifying a part of your home that you might be able to turn into like a mini studio. So you might have a spare room, you might have your office, you might have part of your bedroom where you can set up that part of the room with a good area that has good sound, good light, and, you know, it's got less noise. You know, you'd be surprised if you go to TV, if anybody has been on TV, you'd be surprised when you go into these TV studios. Most of them are actually held in a shed. You know, I think TV3's out in Ballymount. They're a big shed, and then they've got this like studio in the background. So now, questions I'm going to go for. I'd like to address the questions. So that's I want to leave a bit of space now for any questions. So if the team would like to come in here now as well.
Okay, hi Aidan. There's a few questions in the chat box there if you want to
Yeah.
start them. So can you suggest a fitting for tripod to hold the phone?
For the tripod to hold the phone. So do you mean the little grip that comes around the phone, is it?
Must be a fitting, yeah. Will I unmute people now and just let them ask the questions, or would you prefer to answer the ones sent in?
I'm happy to do that, yeah. We have a lot of people, so I'm happy to do that. Okay. I think that's no problem. We'll probably have yeah, let's go for it, yeah. Apps would I use? Maeve talks about apps to use for video editing. Really good question. In the workshops that I run, I have, you know, the part of the shooting and then the part of the editing. Editing really frees you up to be more creative. If you're going to use an app for editing, I'd really suggest there's one. It's called KineMaster, and I can send this on if you want after, but I'll spell it out: KineMaster. KineMaster. Now that does. I'm actually writing it into the chat here, guys, for you. KineMaster. Now that's one of them. There is another one called. There's a lot, to be honest. But what I'd really suggest, and I've seen this with some members, where you have a high-speed app where you can shoot the high speed making of a product. That's really useful. I've just sent you on that app called Lapse It. So time lapse shots, really useful. Another app that I would use would be, I'll send it on to you. It's called Splice It. Splice It. I think it's Splice. Splice is really good. It's free, I think, and it's also quick for adding in, what I would call to actions on your logo and maybe your graphic here. It's very good. Splice It is a really good one for free. KineMaster, I'd really recommend as being a great one for your mobile. One that I would recommend for your laptop, if you want to edit on your laptop, get Wondershare. So I'll write it down. Wondershare is very good. It's very straightforward. It's a very good app. It's really, really good. It looks professional, but it's very cheap actually to get. Editing is a bit of a minefield. It is a minefield, but it absolutely does transform your videos. Sorry, one other question here. Would I edit on my phone or my desktop? I'll actually, if you don't mind, I'm just going to show you if I can. Sorry, one moment. I just have a one moment, guys. I will show you. Can't find it now, guys, but I'm sorry about that. But there's a really good one that I would suggest that we edited on our mobile, and it was called LumaFusion. Now, LumaFusion is it is quite expensive, but it's a really good one to use. I would go with that, to be honest. And so, any other questions I will just touch on at the moment. I'm bringing up.
Do you see them coming up there, Aidan?
I do. I'm just a moment. Where am I? No. Oh, sorry. Sorry, no. Okay, so there's a huge, so Roshan was just saying there's a huge wait for tripods at the moment, but there are loads of hacks that can be used to make sure tripods stand. Yeah, so it's a good point. You could get like an expensive big tripod, but I was filming a video recently on a box of eggs on my table. So you don't really need something unless you're going to be shooting vlog videos every so often. iMovie, somebody had said it's a good one as well. The microphones I would suggest is a nice one called iRig Recorder. I'm going to send that to you. iRig Recorder. Have a look at that one. Now, any more questions? Keep them coming in.
Yeah, there's quite a few, Aidan. There's quite a few in the Q&A bar. Andrea and Spencer, how do you eliminate sound in a room without? Did you answer that one?
I didn't get that one actually. No.
How do you, Andrea Spencer? How do you eliminate sound in a room without carpets? I.e., studio with concrete floor and no curtains.
I would, if I was to be honest with you, I think if you really are having difficulty in that space, probably the best thing to do is get a microphone and attach that to your phone. I think it's the best thing to do. If it really is important for you to be in that space and it's really bad. Now, there is the obvious option is get closer to your phone. I'll give you one other option, if you wanted to do something on a budget, would be get hold of somebody else at home and get their phone and get them to record into that phone and stick that phone in here under you. So use another phone as a recorder
for the audio.
For the audio, and then you will have to sync that up to your other phone. But it's an option.
Aidan, that comes into the next question from Suzanne Clark. Hi, Suzanne. Hope you're well. I hope you saw we did a nice tweet on the soap. Anyway, it's can you record sound after you do the video? And that, I think you've answered that, yes, but you have to sync it. Is that done on your editing tool?
Yes, you can sync the sound. So you would speak as normal in the camera, but yes, have a backup of that recorded elsewhere with a microphone or your phone, you know. So if that answers the question. Yeah,
Alison Aspina. Hello, Alison. How are you? Hope West Cork is nice. Just how do you edit? So it's a very broad question, but obviously that's an editing tool, an editing package, is it?
Yes. How, Alison, editing is, people go to college for that stuff, I suppose. Like it is a minefield. It's a beautiful thing when you start editing. It can completely transform a video. Now, how do you best approach that? Like I do courses myself on that, but it's always a learning experience. I think, like, start small, start simple, and then you'll never look at a movie in the same way after that, because you'll all see it in bits.
One of the things that Aidan, that I find very good is iMovie. Like the built-in, if you have an Apple phone, the built-in software is actually quite good for slicing bits of clips together. The join is always difficult. It's quite harsh. You can't blend them, but it's still a good way to put in different shots, you know?
It is, and you're right. Like, and on Windows Movie Player, I think is the other one for Windows, people that have Windows. Both of them are a good starting option, yes. And one thing I'd say on that as well is that knowing even the basics of the start of editing, it completely frames your mind into how to shoot differently, because you'll know in movies and that in small videos. We did one for Eleanor Swan. We were up in her workshop. It's literally bits. You hold the phone here, you stop it. You hold the phone here, you stop it, and then join them all up then later. Yeah,
that's an interesting point, because one of the things I think when people are showing on products and work, showing the same work from different angles is often a great thing to do, because there's a very two-dimensional feel sometimes. But if you show different, even if it's still pictures, but it's still pictures of the same product but from a different angle, it kind of gives a different perspective.
Absolutely.
I have a request in from one of the makers. Aidan, would you talk about how to zoom in and out?
That's a really good point.
Effectively, yeah.
That's a really
on the tripod.
And this is the difficulty when it's not a bad thing, but when you don't know how to edit. Okay, so zooming, if you want to get the video all into one shot, you've got one option, in my view. You could get the mini tripod that I said, the little magical device. You can walk in very slowly towards the object. I do not recommend zooming in digitally on your phone, because you lose the clarity on the phone. So I would walk towards the object if you have a little device like the tripod, or the other device that I said, the Osmo Mobile gimbal. I'm going to send this to you. Osmo Mobile gimbal. So my answer to that is a really important point, because I see there's two things. You lose focus, or you lose the clarity, but you also start running around and the camera is unsteady. So to answer your question, don't zoom in on digitally, just move if it's steady.
Okay, there's also a question for microphone suggestions.
Yes, the iRig recorder, I just mentioned that earlier. I'll just type it in again. iRig Recorder is handy. It records into your phone, and then you can get that recording and then send it on to the other phone, or send it on to your laptop if you're editing.
Okay. Brian, would you spot any more summary questions
there?
there?
So we answered the fitting to hold the phone, right? We answered that question, didn't we?
We kind of answered it, actually. We didn't. Maybe you're right, Brian. We didn't. You get those when you're ordering or getting your little mini tripod. Sometimes they come with the tripod. Other times you have to get them separately. But you'd get them in any good camera shop, or to be honest, in lots of shops, maybe €4 or €5. You get them very easily, and you can pop those then on top of the tripod and screw them on. Okay, so we touched a little bit on editing. I think really at the end of the day, trying to use free editing software is the best solution. Christina Goldston. Hi, Christina, how are you? In your opinion, what mobile is best for video and photo quality? Christina, the camera I have, it's called a Huawei P30 Pro. Now, one thing I'd say is, and the latest iPhone, if you were to get your iPhone 6 out, you get the same quality of video. It's not about the quality of the phone. They're all great phones now. It's about the quality of how you are behind the phone. So listen to yourself and put the phone down for a while first before you video. All the phones are good from the iPhone 6 forward. So don't obsess about getting a latest phone. Just learn more. Okay. Other Esther, Gerard. Okay, so there's a couple of other ones there. Alison again. Alison's workshop is quite messy. Is that a disadvantage? I can't move to a neater. I can't move to a neater studio space for filming my techniques. Do you know, Alison? Just from an aesthetic point of view, I think we've got technical discussion on video and photography, and then we've got sort of aesthetic views. And I think, you know, if messy workshop is part of what your messaging is around the brand, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think as long as you make it reasonably clear what you're shooting, it makes total sense to actually, you know, show people your workshop. Aidan, would you agree with that? Absolutely. You know, it's one of the things that I always say. I was in a jeweler's a couple of weeks ago, and he wanted to shoot over in the corner where we'd nothing behind us. And I said, no, hang on, like, you're buying beautiful cabinets, you're buying something that represents who you are and what your business is. And like, if you're making jewelry, or if you're a studio or potter, like, even having grubby hands is actually part of it. If you've got, you know, your rings over on the bench and that, and you've got your bench in the background, it shows that your products are made and that you're just off work, or you're just getting on video because you're in the middle of work, and the studio in the background is absolutely a selling point, is what I would say. Definitely. So yeah. We have somebody. Okay, so those camera ratio settings, where are in the iPhone setting or in the camera app itself? They are in the iPhone settings. Are all in your standard camera. So you'd be surprised. You need to go into the settings on your camera, and you'll find lots of different camera settings in there. You get those in most of your cameras, unless it's a really old camera. They all have really good options for shooting in that sense. Very good. One thing I'll say is just, one thing I'll say is, I think for stories on Instagram, I think you can shoot straight from Instagram. So you don't need to go into the camera. Esther wants you to show the video that didn't work earlier. Okay, that's a good request. Oh, yes. And then Lena Steen wants to show you a little clip. And she's asking, how can this get put together? She teaches millinery and we think so it would be perfect. So then we might get to that after. Yeah, we'll do that one moment there now.
And everything we don't get to will be responded to afterwards. Okay, everyone?
Perfect. Lena, I think I'm going to try and play this video that you've sent through, if that's okay, Brian. It's or maybe Lena, I'll see if it opens up, but just in terms of time to get around to everybody, I might address that after if you want to send the guys an email maybe, and I'll come back to you on that. Is that okay?
Okay.
Now, yes, I want to show you that video. Just pointing out that if you don't mind, I'll go to YouTube and I'll play that. It's definitely Orange JW. Now, this is the video here. Have a look at this. Now, I think that's a good video actually as well, but I think that is an effective video to show you the power really of, you know, like what you can do with editing. I mean, that was a full day that we shot for, and it took a long time. But if you know how to edit, it's very powerful. And I'm just with that. And one thing is just an important thing I want to show you. Just showing you to be more realistic about, I suppose, where you can start from. There was one little thing. It was a private workshop I held for Eleanor Swan. And after a couple of hours of our workshop, this is what we were able to do. We edited this on her mobile, shot on her mobile. We used a little tripod where you could carry in your hand, and we put it together. Now have a look at this and how this differs from what you might do without editing. It's exactly what you were saying earlier. You can see they're all just shots. They're just one shot, one shot, one shot, one shot. You shoot and you cut. And it goes back to one of the questions that was asked earlier about how do you zoom in the best way. You'll notice that none of these were zoomed in, and that it's better when you don't zoom in if that's the case. You cut the shot and you move on, and it does show the importance and the advantages of editing. I hope that was a help to you there. I'll go back to some questions again.
Yeah.
Sorry, I sent you a PM there with the link to YouTube that Lena asked for. She's a question. She would like to play it and just to see what's involved with something as like that. So you go into your chat bar there.
Okay.
There's a YouTube link there.
Yes, the video for Lena, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. 21 minutes. Is it?
Looks like it.
studio people.
I think she's just asking how could that be put together, because she teaches millinery and thinks it would be good.
Yeah.
Step by step, isn't it?
Be able to put that together, Rose, eh?
Just seeing, is it cut it all, or is it all one shot?
Oh, you just missed this little YouTube thing.
Okay, so well, actually, it's not that difficult. It's all one shot. So the camera is up over. So he's got the camera up over, and he's positioned it in some way that he can shoot down continuously. And it's actually, yeah, it's not a bad. I hope I'm answering your question, but there's actually no editing done on this, as far as I know, because
it's kind of a stop-start, Aidan. He's shooting a bit and then stopping it and then getting ready for the next bit. Is it?
Is he? Sorry, I'll just let it play a bit then. From what I see here, it's all continuous. Just to answer your question, if you are, you know, stopping and then you want to progress the product a bit and then start shooting again in the same position, it is very easy. I mean, you shoot, let's just say the first couple of minutes, you stop it, and the important thing here is you do not move the camera. You keep the camera where it is, you stop it, then you get to work, and if you want to progress the work another bit, and then you feel that, well, now is a good time to shoot again, then you can do that. Collect all the shots and stick them together.
And Aidan, Mona was asking there, what would she use to shoot from above, like straight down? What do you use?
I've actually done it. I've had a long tripod, if that makes sense, like a full height tripod, and it can actually extend up a lot. So what he would have done, he'd have a tall tripod in the front of his table, and he would have pointed the phone right down and then onto the desk. So if you get a really good tripod, hold it up high and then point the camera all the way down.
Very good. Okay.
Now,
well,
what else have we got?
I think we've probably covered most of the questions.
Yeah.
Mary?
Do we have time for a couple more there?
Yeah.
Just a couple if you can see them.
Yeah.
Have you got any sort of hints and tricks that you could give people?
These are the big ones now. I mean, can you ask maybe a bit more specifically if anybody has any pain points?
Yeah, there's one there, Aidan. What would be the optimal time for a video to social media?
Very good point. Well, I'll give you an example of how short people's attention span are at the moment. You'll see videos that are, for example, sorry, this guy keeps talking in the background. You'll see videos that are an example of maybe a Facebook video or an ad can be maximum of 15 seconds. Now, what's happening these days is that people are making their mind up after 3 seconds. That's to show you an example of how short videos need to be, because people are losing patience. Now, if you're putting up a video, a generic video on Instagram, I would suggest maybe 15 to 30 seconds. I would suggest 15 to 30 seconds. 30 seconds max. There's no need to go beyond 30 seconds in my view, because bear in mind that Instagram and Facebook will rank you based on how long people have looked at your video. One thing I'll say is if you're looking at the making of a product like that other video was that we looked at, it's a different type of video. But in terms of snippets going to Instagram, I would say 15 to 30 seconds.
Okay.
Okay. Questions?
I think that's covered it off. Has it? There are questions.
We have more. I think I'm just.
Okay. Spot one more. Yeah.
think with more there.
Okay.
Keep going. I just can't find the Q&A. Yeah.
Can you recommend an app to add music afterwards?
Most of those editing apps have music. They have stock music. So you can pull it into an editing app and actually add the stock music. I would say Splice It or Splice would be something that's very simple that you could add in and get the music in the background. Most of them have stock music.
Okay. And then Laura was asking, do the editing apps that you've suggested have the options to input subtitles?
They do. Now, I'll give you another one.
Do you recommend adding subtitles?
I would recommend adding subtitles. Yes, I would recommend adding subtitles. It does take more time. It significantly increases your production time. I'll give you a really good tip. Has anybody used Canva? Well, I can't hear your answers in the chat. I'd like just to get a bit of a feedback there on your chat as to how many people might have used Canva. One thing you might not know about Canva is that when you shoot a video and you pull in video into Canva, like, can you bear with me for 1 minute? And I'd like to show you that. One moment. It's amazing. You can pull a video in and you actually put a border around the video. And I'll give you an example here of one of our product videos that we shoot. We shoot a lot of jewelry videos. And this is an example of a video that was pulled in to Canva. And you can play this then as a video within Canva. So you can see that we pulled in the video, we put a border in the top and the bottom, and then you can also put in text in this as well. Now it's absolutely such a great addition and exposure on your video. I would really, really recommend that. So remember Canva for video.
Okay.
Does that help? I'm sure.
Does it edit?
Does it edit? You can trim the video, and you can add in text here as well. For adding in, so you can trim, yes, and then you can put in text. It's not an editor. There is another app called Headliner. Now, I'm writing it in here now into the chat. Everybody in Canva, it's amazing. People in Canva, people are responding here saying that they didn't know about that, and they're saying, wow, and that's the free version. Yes, it's the free version of Canva. Not many people actually utilize that, and it's absolutely amazing. I mean, we've done great posts on Instagram. I do some marketing for companies, and the engagement on that is brilliant versus no branding. Now, I see a lot of companies shooting jewelry videos with no brand on top. Bring it into Canva. It's free, no excuse. Put your branding on top and post it that way. I did say that I would, sorry, somebody, I'm just on that again on Canva. Someone asked, how did you bring that in? Very, very easy. Come to upload down at the corner, and you can upload, and then you can get that there on your desktop. Very, very easy. Then when it's uploaded, you pull it in just like a picture. Sorry, I just have more questions. What are my thoughts on Premiere Pro? If a lot of you have heard about Premiere Pro, that's what I use for any of the productions we shoot. It is high end. It is more expensive. It's not necessary for your work unless you're a production company. So you know your limits. Get something that's good that you can use within your business hours. And before I move on, I wanted to say about Headliner. Headliner is a very good app where if you're speaking in a video and you pull in the video, and it generates subtitles for you based on your voice. Now I'm from Offaly, and there's a couple of us down there that it might not pick up the subtitles because of our accent. So mostly it actually is very good. It generates subtitles and then you can change it. Headliner, I put it into the chat. There's a lot going in the chat, so I'm just going to write that in again. Headliner, you might see on podcasts, you know, when people put out podcasts and they have the little, you know, what do you call it? The voice track coming up, and they've turned this into a video where they have like a picture, this thing is shaking, and they have subtitles at the bottom. That's called the Headliner app many people use. Really good tip for generating subtitles. Okay, it's not a podcast, but you can bring your video in and add subtitles. So I would absolutely consider that. Now, do you consider it necessary to show one's face when shooting a video for Facebook? Really depends. Now, I'll give you an example. I was shooting or teaching people who are business coaches. Business coaches, it's all about them. They're not making products. They're the knowledge people that need to be on camera. Their heads are important. For yourselves, for designers, you know, I would definitely bring yourselves in as the feature of the business. But in a lot of videos you could put out, leave it about the product and get your brand on the video is the main thing. But focus on the product. Focus on the visuals of the product. That's really what you're after. Beautiful visuals. Don't worry about yourself too much about getting yourself on it. Yes, you can put out the odd image maybe or the odd video of you presenting, but I see Instagram channels and where people are really benefiting are people who show the products in the making, nice displays, or the finished product. And I'd really focus on the visuals. Somebody, good stuff. We have any other questions being brought in there, Mary? Is there?
I don't think so. I think Roisin had said, I'm not sure if you said this already, that there are lots of hacks and ideas how to make an overhead stand for shooting if you haven't got a tall tripod, but you'll find them online.
Yes.
So, yeah, other than that, I think you've kind of covered that.
There's very little that can't be done with a coat hanger and a bit of tape.
Yeah.
That's it. It's true. I mean, you can hack everything you want. But the way I see it, everyone, is that when you get off this webinar, there's no reason why you can't make a good video based on these tips without, okay, invest in a 10-euro tripod. But most of the things that you can implement here from these tips, you know, and look at video in a different way and think about how you're going to shoot before you pick up the phone. What would you recommend? Sorry, it's just somebody just asked about what website or a shop would I recommend to buy tripods. I would recommend in Dublin, Cons Cameras is a good one. It's a trustworthy shop. And then there's the photography shop. I think it's called a photography shop.
That's the one on Grafton Street, is it?
Yes, it is. Yeah,
yeah, it's a great story. Yeah.
That's a good one too.
Yeah, most of those guys will deliver as well.
They would, and actually Argos is a good one as well. So they're ones you can trust. But I would choose one of those stores. What else?
Well, listen, we might wrap it up. Folks, I'd just like to say to everybody attending, thank you very much. This is a series we're running. It started this week. This is the second one. We had a great registration for it and a massive increase on the last one. We have a series up, Emer, planned for next week. And if you go to dcci.ie/webinars, you can register for them. There's some interesting ones next week. We'd encourage you to register. Emer, do you want to add something?
Yes, thank you very much, everybody. If you have any ideas for it, please do get in touch and don't forget to constantly check our frequently asked section. We'll keep those updated as much as we can. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Aidan. Thank you very much, colleagues.
Safe, everybody.
And stay safe, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
And don't forget to email your comments. Thank you. Bye.